Miss Lizelle, a customer, claims to have suffered food poisoning after dining at Haven Restaurant. She alleges that the restaurant violated health and safety regulations, including improper food handling and unsanitary conditions in the kitchen. Miss Lizelle is suing the restaurant for medical expenses, emotional distress, and loss of wages due to miss of work. Haven Restaurant denies the allegations, stating that their establishment adheres strictly to health and safety protocols. The restaurant claims that Ms. Lizelle may have been consumed contaminated food elsewhere or mishandled leftovers. Good morning, everyone. Court is in now session. We are here today to hear the case of Lizelle Lalwan versus the Haven Restaurant. This is a civil case concerning allegations of food poisoning resulting from alleged health and safety violations at Haven Restaurant. Before we begin, I would like to remind everyone of the importance of maintaining decorum in this courtroom. All participants should conduct themselves with respect and professionalism. Please note that the parties involved in this case are as follows. The plaintiff, Ms. Lizelle Lalwan, represented by Ms. Courtney Nimmer, and the defendant, the Haven Restaurant, represented by Ms. The jury consists of 3 members who will listen to the evidence presented and ultimately decide the outcome of this case based on that evidence. Prosecution ready?
Yes, Your Honor.
Is the defense ready?
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, let's proceed with the opening statements. Each side will have 5 minutes to present an overview of their case. Ms. Nimmer, you may begin.
Yes, Your Honor. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen of the jury. My name is Courtney Nimmer, and I represent Ms. Lizelle Lalwan. On December 11, Lizelle denied at Heaven Restaurant and subsequently suffered severe food poisoning. We will present evidence showing that the restaurant violated health regulations through improper food handling and unsanitary kitchen conditions, directly leading to Ms. Lizelle's medical expenses and lost wages. That will be all, Your Honor.
Thank you, officer. The defense would like to give an opening statement.
Good morning. I am Attorney Pamela Bibat representing Heaven Restaurant. Our establishment prides itself on strict adherence to health protocols. The defendant will demonstrate that Ms. Lizelle may have consumed contaminated food elsewhere or mishandled her leftover after leaving our restaurant. We will prove that we are not liable for her crime.
For the prosecution, you may now call your first witness.
Your Honor, I call my first witness, Dr. De Silva.
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do. Good morning, Doctor. Please state your name and your occupation for the court.
My name is Dr. Laika De Silva, and I am a licensed physician specializing in internal medicine.
On December 11, did you treat a patient named Miss Lizelle Lalwan?
Yes, I did.
What symptoms did Miss Lizelle present when she came to see you?
She exhibited severe nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, and abdominal pain.
What was your diagnosis?
I diagnosed her with food poisoning.
In your professional opinion, could Miss Lizelle be linked to his meal at Heaven Restaurant?
Yes, based on the timing of her symptoms and her account of dining there, it is possible that her illness was caused by contaminated food consumed at that restaurant.
That's all, Your Honor.
Thank you, officer. The defense would like to cross.
Yes, Your Honor. Good morning, Doctor. You mentioned that food poisoning can have multiple sources. Is that correct?
Yes, that is true.
It is possible that Ms. Lizelle could have contracted food poisoning from another source.
Yes, it is possible.
Were any specific tests conducted to determine the exact source of his food poisoning?
Yes, did not conduct specific tests to trace the source. We base our diagnosis on her symptoms and history.
That's all, Your Honor.
Thank you, officer. The witness, you may now take your seat. Does the prosecution have any more witnesses to present?
Yes, Your Honor. The prosecution would like to call on Miss Julie Annabelle.
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do. Please state your name for the court.
My name is Julie Annabelle.
Were you dining at Heaven Restaurant on date December 11?
Yes, I was there on that day.
Can you describe what you observed in the kitchen during your visit?
I noticed that the kitchen staff were not wearing gloves while handling food and that the kitchen appeared clean and clean.
How did these observations affect your dining experience?
It made me very uncomfortable. I questioned whether the food was safe to eat.
That will be all, Your Honor.
Thank you, officer. The defense would like to cross.
Yes, Your Honor. Thank you for being here today. How can you be sure about what you saw in the kitchen during Lizelle Lalon visit? I was seated near the kitchen and could see what was happening clearly. Were there a specific violation you noticed that called directly linked to Lizelle Lalon illness? I saw staff handling food without gloves and some spills on the floor that weren't cleaned up promptly. That's all, Your Honor.
Thank you, officer. The witness, you may now take your seat. Is the defense ready to present its witnesses?
Yes, Your Honor. I call my first witness, Laila, to the stand.
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
Please state your name and position at Heaven Restaurant.
My name is Laila, and I am a line cook at Heaven's Restaurant.
What health and safety protocols do you follow in the kitchen?
We follow strict protocols, including wearing gloves while handling food, regular hand washing, and maintaining cleanliness throughout our shifts.
How do you ensure compliance with these protocols among staff members?
We have regular training sessions and reminders about health standards. We also have a checklist we follow daily to ensure everything is clean and safe.
That's all, Your Honor.
Thank you, officer. The prosecution would like to cross.
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you for your testimony. Have there been instances where staff did not follow these protocols due to being busy?
There can be busy times, but we always try to adhere to our protocols as much as possible.
But isn't it true that during break hours, some procedures might be overlooked?
It's possible, but we try to maintain high standards regardless of how busy we are.
That will be all, Your Honor.
Thank you, officer. The witness, you may now go back to your seat. Does the defense have any more witnesses to present?
Yes, Your Honor. I would like to call Miss Lian.
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do. Please state your name for the court. My name is Lian and I am Health Inspector with FDA. When did you last inspect Heaven Restaurant? I December 1. What were your findings during the inspection?
I found no violations. There were complaints with all health regulations at the time of my inspection.
That's all, Your Honor.
Thank you, officer. Does the prosecution would like to cross?
Yes, Your Honor.
Proceed.
How often do you conduct inspection at restaurant like Heaven Restaurant?
We conduct inspection based on a schedule typically every 6 months or sooner if complaints arise.
It is possible for violations to occur between inspections. For instance, during busy periods when staff might overlook certain practices.
Yes, it is possible inspections are snapshots of compliance at a given time.
That will be all, Your Honor.
Thank you, officer. Miss Witness, you may now take your seat. Now, we will proceed to the presentation of evidence. Each side will have the opportunity to introduce their evidence to discuss its relevance to the case. We will begin with the plaintiff.
Thank you, Your Honor. I would like to present my first piece of evidence, Exhibit 8, which is a medical report from Dr. De Silva. This medical report details Ms. Lizel's diagnosis of food poisoning and outlines the symptoms he experienced after dining at Heaven Restaurant on December 10. As you can see, Dr. Laika clearly states that Ms. Lizel's conditions was consistent with foodborne illness. I would also like to present Exhibit B, which includes receipt from Heaven Restaurant showing that Lizel dined there on December 9. These receipts confirm that he was indeed a customer at the restaurant on that day. Finally, I would like to present Exhibit C, a series of photographs taken by Miss Julie that depict unsanitary conditions in the kitchen at Heaven Restaurant. This image illustrates violations of health regulations and demonstrate that Heaven Restaurant failed to maintain a safe environment for its patrons. As you can see, in these photos, there are clear signs of neglect that could lead to food contamination. This evidence supports to our claim that Lizel's illness was a direct result of Heaven's Restaurant negligence. That will be all, Your Honor.
Thank you, officer. Now, we will proceed to the defendant's evidence.
Thank you, Your Honor. I would now like to present our evidence. First, I would like to introduce Exhibit D, which is a copy of health inspection report conducted by Lynn on December 1. These reports confirm that Heaven Restaurant passed its health inspection with violence, noted to demonstrate our commitment to maintaining high health standards in our restaurants. Also like to present Exhibit E, which include videos footage from our kitchen on December 9. This footage shows our staff adhering strictly to food handling protocols and maintaining cleanliness throughout their shifts. See, this is footage our staff consistently followed proper procedure while preparing food. This evidence contradicts the claims made by Ms. Julie regarding unsanitary practices. That's all, Your Honor.
Thank you, officer. Thank you both for presenting your evidence. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, we are now at the last stage of closing arguments or closing statements. Each side will have the opportunity to summarize their case and highlight the key evidence presented during the trial. Please remember that these statements are not evidence. They are meant to assist you in your deliberations. We will begin with the plaintiff's closing statement. Cut.
Yes, Your Honor. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, thank you for your attention throughout this trial. Today, you have heard compelling evidence that supports our case against Heaven Restaurant. Miss Rizal Alwan came to Heaven expecting a safe and enjoyable meal. Instead, he suffered from severe food poisoning that caused she immense physical pain, emotional distress, and in financial hardship due to medical bills and lost wage. You heard from Dr. De Silva, who provided a clear diagnosis of food poisoning linked to Miss Rizal meal at Heaven Restaurant. His symptoms were severe and consistent with what one would expect from contaminated food. The doctor's testimony was credible and rooted in his professional experience. In addition, Ms. Julie testified about witnessing unsanitary practices in the kitchen, practices that violate health regulations. This testimony is critical because it demonstrates the Heaven Restaurant failed to maintain a safe environment for its patrons. The defense has attempted to shift responsibility away from their establishment, but they have not provided any concrete evidence to support their claims. Their reliance on a inspection report does not absolve them of liability for what happened on the day Ms. Rizal died there. In conclusion, we ask you to hold Heaven Restaurant accountable for their negligence. Justice for Ms. Rizal is not just about compensation. It's about ensuring that restaurants adhere to health and safety standards so that no one else has to suffer as we did. Thank you.
Thank you, plaintiff's attorney. Now we proceed to hear the defense closing statements.
Yes, Your Honor. Thank you, Your Honor, and thank you, members of the jury. As we conclude this trial, I want to remind you of the key principles of justice that guide your decision-making, presumption of innocence, and the burden of proof. The plaintiff has brought serious allegation against Heaven Restaurant, claiming that our establishment is responsible for Ms. Lizelle Laluan food poisoning. However, throughout this trial, they have failed to meet their burden of proof. You heard from our witness, our kitchen staff and health inspector, who testified the Heaven Restaurant follows strict health protocols. Our kitchen is clean, our staff is trained, and we take food safety seriously. The health inspector confirmed that we had no violation during the recent infection. While Ms. Laluan did experience food poisoning, it is crucial to recognize that food illness can arise from various sources outside our control. The plaintiff attorney wants you to believe that our restaurant is solely responsible for Ms. Lizelle Laluan suffering without providing concrete evidence linking his illness directly to our establishment. We also heard from Ms. Lizelle Laluan, who claimed to witness unsanitary practices. However, her testimony was based on subjective observation rather than factual evidence. It is important to remember that perception can be influenced by many factors. In light of all the evidence or lack thereof, we respectfully ask you to fight in favor of Heaven Restaurant. We are committed to maintaining high standards for our customers' safety and well-being. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you both for your closing statements. Members of the jury, you have now heard all the evidence presented in these cases, as well as the arguments from both sides. It is now your duty to deliberate on this matter and reach a verdict based on the evidence and your understanding of the law. The court will now take a short recess to proceeding the witness testimony and further arguments.
Okay, everyone. We've heard a lot of information today. Let's start by summarizing what we believe are the key points from both sides. I think it's clear that Lizelle was seriously affected by food poisoning.
I agree. The doctor's testimony was compelling. He linked Lizelle's symptoms directly to his meal at Heaven Restaurant and I found her credible.
Yes, but we also have to consider the defense points. They emphasize that food poisoning can come from various sources. However, I felt their argument was weak. They didn't provide any solid evidence to support their claims that Lizelle could have gotten sick elsewhere.
Exactly, and remember the customer who testified about seeing unsanitary practice in the kitchen. That really raised red flags for me. If staff were handling food without gloves and the kitchen was dirty, it's not surprising that someone got sick.
And let's talk about the health inspector testimony. While she said there were no violation during her inspection, that doesn't mean everything was perfect at all times. Inspection are just snapshots, as she mentioned.
Right, it seems like the defense relied heavily on the inspection report without addressing potential lapses and procedures during busy hours.
Plus, I think we should consider Lizelle's emotional distress and lost wages. She suffered not just physically but also financially because of this incident.
That's a good point. The plaintiff has shown how this incident affected her life beyond just health issues.
Please be seated. We are now back in session. I understand that the jury has reached a verdict in the case of Miss Lizelle versus the Haven Restaurant. Will the foreperson please stand and announce the verdict?
Your Honor, we the jury find in the favor of the plaintiff, Lizelle.
Thank you. The jury's decision is noted. This court finds Haven Restaurant liable for all the claims made by Miss Lizelle regarding food poisoning resulting from unsanitary conditions. Miss Courtney, do you wish to present any statements regarding the damages?
Yes, Your Honor, we request that damages be awarded to cover Ms. Rizal Lanwan medical expenses, lost wage, and compensation for emotional distress resulting from this incident.
Thank you. I will take your request into consideration when determining damages. To both parties, I commend you for your professionalism throughout this trial. This verdict serves as a reminder of the importance of maintaining health and safety standards in our restaurant.
We did it. You stood up for yourself.
I can't believe it. Thank you for everything.
Excuse me, Mr. Rizal. I have a moment for your time.
Sure, what do you want to say?
I just wanted to express my sincere apology for what went through.
Thank you. It was really hard for me, both physically and emotionally. I just wanted to make sure this does not happen to any else.
I completely understand. We take a pride in our restaurant and our customer safety truly, and I'm truly sorry that I'm well short in case.
I appreciate that. I hope you really to make changes. No, no one should have to do what I did.
We are committed to improving our practices and training our staff more rigorously. Your experience has highly areas where we needed to be better.
Compliance with health regulations. Restaurants must adhere to food safety and hygiene standards to prevent health violations, which can lead to legal repercussions and damage to reputation. Liability for injuries. Establishments can be held liable for injuries caused by unsafe conditions, emphasizing the need for regular safety inspections and maintenance. Consumer protection. Transparency in food preparation and handling practices is essential to maintain consumer trust and avoid legal disputes.